Hi everyone, this is Baz from Rock and Reel Reviews. I'm here in Mono Bar in Glasgow with the one and only Paul Logue from Eden's Cuffs. Logue, how we doing?
Very well, thank you. How are you?
No bad mate, no bad. So, new album Symphony of Sin out last month.
Yep.
Yeah. Been seen on Facebook and the web, you're just promotion daft just now. How's that been going? How's the album being received?
Well, it's quite hard work actually. You know, three months of non-stop promotion, but it's been received really well, particularly Europe, Japan, and now the States. It's just come out, the first kind of reviews have now come out from the States as well. But
all good positive feedback,
absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, of course you get the odd negative one. I mean, that's the nature of the business. That's art, subjective, but in the main, outstanding. You know, it couldn't have gone better, to be honest.
Is it heavy duty, the promotion? Is it fairly full on? Yeah.
Well, if you've got to fit it into all the things you've got on your life, and they all seem to want to talk to me for some reason this time around.
It's because you're the eye candy, Paul.
Oh, thank you very much. So yeah, I get a lot of the kind of donkey work. You know, occasionally if we get the odd German one, I'll farm that out to Thorsten, and same with we've one or two in Serbia. Right. In fact, we got one in Serbia and they didn't want to even talk to Nick, they wanted to talk to me. So it was a bit strange, but hey, it can be tiring. Yeah. A lot of the questions can be the same as well, but
yeah, I'm sure you're probably about to give it 10 that you've already had so far.
Don't worry, the answers will roll off my tongue.
Keep them going. I mean, you mentioned your new single earlier, Nikola Mijic.
Yeah.
This is obviously the first album he's appeared on. So how did that go? What did he bring to the group?
Well, I mean, obviously, first and foremost, he's a phenomenal vocalist. So changing the band singer is massive for us. The timbre of the kind of voice is obviously going to have an effect on the sound, and that's obviously the biggest concern for us with the new record. You know, how are the fans going to take it? But unanimously, he's been wholly accepted. He's a lovely guy too, and I think people are now seeing. You know, we've done a show together. We've had a lot of interviews with him. We've had a lot of press coverage as well. We've had an EPK that people have got to see Nick, and I think the next few weeks we'll actually be releasing footage of his vocal sessions as well. So he's been really received very well, and we knew he would be. I mean, the boy's quality.
Yeah. Had you written much of the stuff for the album before you got him on board, or was it all written with him in mind, kind of thing?
No, we actually wrote all of it before we got him on board. Right. But because we had Marco Sandron for a short time. Yeah. We had started writing the record then. And I think Marco demoed 7 or 8 of those songs. So in some of those vocals, well, maybe not written for him specifically. Certainly one song definitely was. And Time to Breathe was obviously written for Marco. So we did have to kind of shape them, and that's quite difficult to write them without knowing who your singer's going to be. So we had most of it written, but we wanted to do about 20, 22, something like that, and then whittle it down to 14. So I don't think too many were written without knowing who was going to be the voice, but we knew what we were looking for. It was just a case of finding it, really.
Yeah, I mean, we reviewed the album on the website, and we talked about it in one of the podcasts, and all of the guys unanimously on the website were big fans of the record. I noticed in particular there was no guest singers at all in this one. Was that a conscious decision you made, or was that just the way things went with this one?
Well, there's two answers to that. One is that Nikola can sing harmony parts and the old singer couldn't. But the truth of the matter was that we decided, even Mike and myself said after Trinity, listen, we've done this, you know, let's stand on our own 2 feet. We sing harmonies live anyway. The vocals are quite a big part of our sound. So we felt in budgets as well in the record industry. Sales have gone down, budgets go down. We paid, without naming names or naming numbers, we paid serious amounts of money to get some of these guys involved, so that could be better used for us on touring, for example. So we decided back after Trinity that okay, we've kind of done that. And I think it's worked out well because you want Nicola to stand on his own 2 feet and not be overshadowed by a guest. And in fact, I must add that 90% or maybe even 95 to 100% of what you hear is sung by a drummer. Pete Newdick, those harmonies, is a phenomenal singer. So he really gives that big lush wall of sound.
Yeah, am I right in thinking Pete actually sings in a band down south?
He sings in a band called Tainted Nation. They're signed to Massacre Records. They're a really good band. They're kind of a wee bit contemporary, wee bit hard rock, wee bit classic rock. So
what was that?
Tainted Nation.
Tainted Nation. Check that out. You're not long back from Firefest, playing that in Nottingham this year, and that was obviously your first gig with Nick, is that right?
First show, yeah.
That worked out for you.
And Steve,
of course, sorry, I do apologise.
It was very good. The show itself, we played very well. Disappointingly, we heard from a few people in different parts of the venue that some of the sound wasn't particularly great to start with. So I've seen two DVDs of the show. One from down the floor, one from the balcony, and it's better down the floor than it was in the balcony. So, they've added a new balcony into Nottingham Rock City, and that does have an effect on the acoustics. But I can't worry about the sound. It's not my department. That's somebody else's. But as a band, we played well. We got a
received.
Got a great reception, and we got an opportunity to play 3 new songs. So and they went down really, really well. I was delighted we did Unbreakable, and I gave a little speech before it and got spontaneous applause halfway through the speech, which was quite a lump in the throat moment. So that was nice. It was just explaining what the song's about. And
what is that song about? You explain to us what that one's about?
Yeah, really, it was written post-breakup, and it's really the band members talking to each other and saying, listen, we're too good, we've come too far, we've got too much left to say, let's pull ourselves together and go out and do this. And it was really an uplifting song, a moment of strength, from somewhere. And, we explained to the audience it was 2 reasons why we were there tonight. One is the people in front of us, you guys pulled us through, and the second reason was the guys on that stage. They're not only phenomenal musicians, but they're some of my best friends in the world. And just through that, I got that wee applause. So it was a nice moment, and the song was wonderfully received. So it was I think it was like that,
A lot of hardcore Curse fans at that concert as well.
Yes. Oh yeah.
You've got quite a big contingent on the UK now,
Yeah, it's still relatively unknown. I mean, I think we'll start to really find in the next year probably we're looking at a springtime tour. So we've got our feelers out with the venues, and we've got a couple of agents doing a bit of research on our behalf. So
that was actually going to be my next question. I mean, you've toured kind of sporadically over the years, a lot of big support slots for big name bands, but are you looking to tour more now? Do you think that'll happen a bit more now?
Well, we're all based in Europe, so I mean, previously before our travel expenses were the equivalent of the debt of an African nation, so that's now removed. There's no shame in saying it. Mike was the biggest expense, and we don't have that anymore. So we wanted to. I mean, we're a rock band. That's what we love to do. Make records, play. So we're now at the level where we want to really go and do these live shows of our own headline shows. We're not under any illusions that there'll be club shows to start with. But you've got to start somewhere. It's time to bite the bullet and do it on their own. So springtime is what we're aiming for, whether it be April or May or something. We don't know at this stage, but that's what we're aiming for.
Nice. For the benefit of sort of viewers and readers and that aren't familiar with these Curse, can you just kind of briefly explain the sort of process you do with your recordings and that? Because obviously, geographically, well, you've not got somebody in the States now, you're still scattered all over Europe.
And we still record. We still record in our own kind of studio. So what we do is we go into pre-production, which is writing the album, then we start putting the arrangements together. Once we pick the actual final 12 or 4, usually we record 14 songs because we need bonuses for Japan and things like that. And we'll start, the drummer will do the drums and all of the tracks. So when we're doing the demos, we get the demo to a final version. So it's not going to change then. It's just going to have each...
In terms of the song structure and stuff like that,
Exactly, but it might have my singing on it from being the writer of it, or Pete singing, or my guitar playing. And then from that process, we'll take the drums out of the demo, give it to the drummer, the drums come back, then I'll put the bass, and Thorsten will put his guitars, And this is all done in separate countries. Some here in Scotland, Pete's in England, Thorsten's in Germany, Nick's in Serbia, and Steve's in England as well. We record all of the music, and then usually we'll get together. Like I brought Nick to my studio, recorded at my studio for about a week to 10 days or something. Did all the vocals, and then the backing vocals go on, and it all gets shipped over to Germany. This is the first album we've done completely digitally, where before it would be, well, I guess it's digitally, but we'd be burning those files onto discs or whatever.
Yeah.
Now it was actually all uploaded,
Right.
we've gone complete upload, so it was all uploaded to a producer, downloaded and mixed in.
You're all in the cloud.
We're all in the cloud, that's it.
One thing I noticed in this album, and I actually mentioned it in my review, and a friend of mine, Mark, who you met years ago actually, I picked up a big Lillian Axe kind of sound.
Lillian Axe?
And Mark, who was a big fan of them back in the day, straight away went, I totally got what you were saying about Lillian Axe. What kind of other bands were influencing your sound on this record?
Well, I have to state I've never heard a single Lillian Axe song in my life.
Quite embarrassed by that revelation, but carry on.
Sorry, I haven't. I do know the bitch is back by now. Queensryche are massive.
Yeah.
Queensryche's huge in there. From a musical standpoint, a lot of the chord voicings, some of the harmony guitar parts, some of the rhythms, particularly in the bass and drums, Queensryche are huge.
Yeah.
Without ripping them off,
Yeah.
they've obviously influenced us. Some of the more kind of current bands like Firewind and Edguy, who are a huge German band.
Right.
Stroke Avantasia, I don't know if you've heard of them.
You heard of them? No.
They're the same, that's the solo band of the guy from Edguy, but they're huge, one in Nuclear Blast.
Right.
They're number one in Germany right now, so you should check them out. Some of the 80s bands like Dokken are huge. George Lynch's guitar playing really has influenced TNT, I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, I remember TNT.
And definitely some of the more AOR like Journey and Foreigner in terms of the vocal melodies.
I picked a big Journey thing up on as well,
Yeah, I
but
mean,
I actually thought Nick at certain points had a real kind of Journey
Really?
sound to some of the parts he was singing in, yeah.
He does really have that, but it's always been in a writing style. Journey is, a band I like, one of my favourite bands, but in terms of writing melodies, I like those old kind of AOR melodies, the ones that, the really strong hooks. And I remember even when I was playing in my Glasgow band for 9 years, some of the guys would say to me, you just write like fucking Bryan Adams. That's called a hook, you idiot. And that's the point I was trying to get across to the guys, that those are the radio hooks, the ones that you come away, even with this record, we would come away 4 weeks later and go, what is that, I can't get my head, and it was quite a surprise.
Yeah.
Jeez, that's an Eden's Curse song. We're not that, we're not that conceited that we sit around listening to our music all the time, but it told us at the time writing these demos, hang on a minute, we've got something quite special here. So,
What kind of stuff are you listening to at the moment?
oh God, I listen to... It is definitely mostly similar to Eden's Curse. I mean, I created Eden's Curse, that music sound, because I wanted to listen to that. I felt there was a gap in what I was listening to, and I decided
Like an old school melodic metal type thing,
to try and write something that could take all these influences of Queensryche and Dawkins. So I still hark back to my old classics, and the iPod tonight coming here, it's the new Dream Theater record, so I listen to a lot of prog metal. I listen to bands like Dream Theater, and then I discover bands like DGM from Italy and Pagan's Mind from Norway, who are that kind of Dream Theater thing, but something completely different. I love things like the old classics like AC/DC and Maiden and things like that. And then I've got my whole melodic side like Journey, so I can swing from Journey right up to Slayer actually, to be honest, so it just whatever takes my mood. I'm quite current in the scene that I play in, and luckily through the position I'm in a decent band with good labels, that I get a lot of free records or downloads now as it is. So I will listen to a lot of albums, and I'll pick up bands like Wet, the other Wet, or Heat. These are kind of more Journey type melodic rock bands. They're quite cool, good to listen to.
Did you have a chance to check out the new Queensryche, the non-Jeff Tate one?
I bought it, the non-Michael Eden version. Michael Eden's Queensryche. Hi Mike, I know you're watching, you always do. Yeah, I thought it was great.
Yeah, I reviewed it for the website. I was fucking blown away by it. I feared the worst. I actually said, Mark that I was talking about earlier on, he's been at the Queensryche since we were at school, and I sort of phoned him and said, I've got the Queensryche records, you know. And he went, which one? Fuck, do you mean which one? And it was him that told me of the two different versions now, you know. I was blown away. Fucking better out, Jeff Tate.
Well, I tell you, I mean, the voice is the voice. You can't get by that, and don't read into that, Mike, because I know you fucking will. But you can't get away from the original voice.
Yeah.
There's no doubt in that. However, the band has to move on. In fact, there's many parallels. You know, there's many parallels to Queensryche and Eden's Curse scenario, and you've got to let them move forward, right?
Right.
The Tate's moved off with other guys. It's not Queensryche. One man doesn't make a band.
No.
You know, really, it doesn't. The rest of the guys there, absolutely, they've moved on. Okay, they've gone for a journey type thing. They'll sound alike, but the guy's great. He's absolutely brilliant.
And he's Todd DeVries in the Crimson Glory. Crimson Glory.
Todd
Latore, sorry, yeah.
Great guy as well. You know, seems to be really personable with the fan base, and the record's damn good. You know, it's not mind-blowingly Empire or Operation Mindcrime, but it's the best record they've made since Empire, in my opinion. I did not like, you know, a lot of people subscribe to the Chris DeGarmo's the reason they were shit, he's left at their shit now. Actually, he was still in the band when they released a couple of records that weren't up to par, in my opinion, and the band was on the wane, and you know, I think this is the best record they've made since Empire. And I remember going to Edinburgh one weekend with my wife. We had a jolly there to celebrate our 10th wedding anniversary, and we did Rose Street, and there was, bloody hell, a real record shop. So I go in, and I haven't bought a record out of a shop for years, and there was the Queensryche album American Soldier.
Oh yeah, that was the one before the split, wasn't it?
I think there was one before that. There was two before it.
Was it?
But I said to my wife, I know that I'm going to buy this and I'm going to hate it. She said, well, don't buy it. But something in me made me buy it, and I hated it. It was absolute shit. And I heard the one after it was even worse. So that's what Jeff Tate brought to Queensryche, in my opinion, latterly.
Yeah.
His legacy, and he is Jeff Tate, he is a god, you know, and a Queensryche nut. And I think the new band's great, and I wish them all the success.
Right, we'll try and drag it back. Eden's Curse now, pumping up Queensryche here. To explain this next question, I should point out Paul and I are old pals. We have been for years. We met together at college. But
that's not my Alexis.
Not at all, no. We met about 20 years ago at college, so I have very fond memories of messing about with Paul. And one of my fondest ones...
Messing about?
Yeah, that came out all wrong. That came out really weird, and I'm quite uncomfortable about that, but I'm going to keep going. Pounding on. Not pounding on, again, that's a poor choice of words.
I'm making an ass this.
I know, I really am. One of my fondest memories, though, is watching you play with one of your very early bands.
Oh dear Lord.
Park Mains Theatre in Erskine, and you played a cover version of Metallica's For Whom the Bell Tolls with a broken smoke machine that wouldn't turn off, and it just kept flooding the stage with smoke, and you were at the front with your bass trying to peer over the top.
The fact you couldn't see me was a bonus.
Well, your hair in those days,
Well, you get a cheek to talk.
But my question is...
You definitely had the longer kind of, I don't know, Captain Seagull was my nickname back home. You did a pretty good
Chesney
but
Hawks.
you've definitely got the better beard as well.
Yeah, beard's awesome now, man. Beard is awesome now. So my question to you is, if you could bring any cover version into your Eden's Curse set, what would it be?
Bloody Nora. You floored me with that one, mate. Well, we've done a few cover versions. We've done first record we did, We All Die Young off the Steel, the Rockstar movie. We did Unchained the Night with Dawkins on Trinity, and we did Rock and Roll Children, because actually we were recording the record, and Mike phoned me and said Ronnie James Dio has just died. So we were finishing the last drum track. Could we learn that song and record it? And it was literally that night. So I mean, we've had a few emails from the Dio fan base saying you're living off Ronnie's legacy. Well, actually, we weren't. You know, Dio's. I should have mentioned Dio earlier on as an influence. Dio's in there. You can hear it in the bass lines and everything. You know, Evil and Divine. Dum, 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 you know. definitely there for sure. And we decided to go and record that song there and then, and it came out great. You know, we're really pleased with it. So, what would we do? I always wanted to do a Queensryche song.
Yeah.
I'd probably do some Empire, but then again, you know, Nick's got a different type of timbre. I could hear Mike doing that. Mike's got that type of voice, or something like TNT. He could have done those. But Nick, that's a good question.
We'll come back to that one. You know, we think about that. You can fill me in at the end and
I'll
that.
make you think about that.
On the site, as well as doing music, we also cover films. So what kind of films you into? Have you seen anything recently that you really enjoyed? Have you seen anything recently that you sucked? Or like me, do you only go to the cinema because you've got a kid and you go to see Ice Age?
No, I don't. Actually, I'm married. This is probably the most un-rock and roll thing I'm about to tell you tonight on air. But I'm married to a librarian. There's a good story about that. My wife works for, I won't tell you, but she works for a council, shall we say.
Right.
And one of the ladies that works with her, her daughter is into kind of rock and metal. And she said to the daughter, "Have you ever heard of Eden's Curse?" And she went, "Of course, Mum." She went, "Oh, right. Are they any good?" "Yeah, I think so." And the bass player's married to a girl I work with, and she went, "He's married to a librarian? How uncool!" So poor Pam, but so she brings home a lot of foreign language movies. So I see a lot of great stuff, you know, stuff that have gone up for the kind of the Cannes Film Festival.
Right, yeah.
Can I remember any of the names? No, because they're all foreign. But I saw one recently. It was French. I need to think of that name, but it was about a chap who was he was complete paraplegic, but he was a billionaire, and he was interviewing for a new person to come and be his chaperone, basically take him about, walk him in the parks. And there was a West African chap who came in and applied for it, but he came in to basically just get a stamp on his
visa kind of thing, yeah.
Not his visa, but maybe it's his visa, but benefits or whatever, to show he'd at least gone for the job application. But he was quite cheeky with the guy and ends up getting the job, and it was a phenomenal film. It was absolutely brilliant. And a few weeks later, Pam and I were in Paris. So no, I love films. My wife's quite into. And of course, with her being into it, I end up watching it, but she's quite into Guillermo del Toro, the kind of horror.
Yeah.
So I quite like some of his stuff. That's really cool.
That's like the best answer. We ask everybody that we interview that particular question because of the film thing, you know, and they always go like, can't really think.
Dumb and Dumber, School of Rock.
Literally the best answer we've ever had to that question. It's well done.
Well, I wasn't even finished. I was going to talk about it. But I do like my definite kind of type of films is the thrillers, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, one of my all-time favourites is The Name of the Father, you know, that type.
Oh, aye.
I love that movie, but it's a bug here. But yeah, so that's what I watch. It's whatever we get home, and I joined that Love Film because there's no DVD shops anymore.
Yeah, well, there's one in Stirling, believe it or not. If you bother driving through to Stirling, they'll hook you up.
I've been watching. I don't have a lot of time to watch TV. You know, I've been recording and playing music and having a daughter, and I've now got a puppy to add to my sins. So just what I need.
Schoolboy error there.
Yeah, just what I need. Well, it's cheaper than a baby. Sorry, Pam. But yeah, so the only thing I do is I've been catching up with a lot of the Homeland. So I've just finished series 2. I love Homeland.
Yeah, I love Homeland. Great show.
I sat down to watch 3 last week, first show, and I went, hang on. Previously in Homeland. And I went, I don't remember any of that. Was there a second series? And that was because I love film. They ship you the first series over 4 DVDs, so you feel like you've been watching it for a month.
For weeks, aye.
Well, of course, you do watch it for weeks on the telly, but there we go.
Cool. Right, this next one has been sent in to the site, this question. It's from an old friend of ours, one Michael O'Halloran in Aberdeen, and he asks, have you still got my Richard Marx CD? And you'd like to say to Michael?
I'll return it with a Bjork album.
Now, speaking of college, Paul, we both studied computing together back in the day.
Yep.
I personally, I'd like, and I'm sure our viewers are keen to know, what is your favourite normalised form of data?
bore us to death, sir.
There's a niche market for this kind of stuff, man. First, second or third?
No idea what he's talking about.
Mine's Boys Cod, if anybody's interested.
No, they're not.
And finally, and you're the only
Not a
person.
serious question.
You're the only person in the world I can actually ask this question to, Paul. If Scottish football legend Dennis Law was here today, what would he want to say to our viewers?
Well, as you say, Rock and Rio, love the fishing. Robson Jerome, brilliant. Cameron Jerome, big Alec McLeish. Birmingham City, it's a big city. Right, lads, big city. David Roth. Lots of hookers in the Van Halen days. What's your question again?
Made my day, man. Listen, Paul, can't thank you enough for coming along, man.
Thank you, man.
Been great speaking to you, been great seeing you again, mate.
Thanks for your time.
Paul Logue from Eden's Curse, everybody. Symphony of Sin, out at the moment on AFM Records. Check it out, you won't be disappointed. Great slice of melodic metal. And if you're in Glasgow, come and check out Mono Bar. There is a record shop in the bar. What more need I say? Thanks very much, man.
Eden's Curse in it.